Hi, everyone. My name is Kareem Arif. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm currently the chair-elect for the Law Student Division of the American Bar Association this coming year, which means as your term's beginning, if you're elected, so will my term as chair. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you all have to say and your outlooks on the position this evening. With me on the call right now is Austin Grayhouse, who's down here at the bottom, at least on my screen. He's our executive director. He is phenomenal, and he's the one who's been really your touch point for everything information-wise for the Law Student Division. Then we have Chase Hudson here, who serves as our elections chair for this year. He's also one of our circuit governors. He's going to be moderating tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to him and let him take us away, do a little introduction for himself, and get you all right on for the question and answer session. So Chase, the floor is yours, brother.
All right. Hello, everyone. As he said, my name is Chase Hudson. I'm the 3rd Circuit Governor, and I'm also the chair of the Election Committee. So some ground rules for tonight. We're going to limit responses to 2 minutes. We're going to run at about an hour.
Breaking up a little bit, brother.
I will be asking a question of 2 candidates if there's time. Can you hear me? I will be asking 1 question of 2 candidates. If we have time at the end, I will ask if any candidate wants to respond to a question that wasn't asked to them. But before we begin with the questions, I'd like everyone to do a quick introduction. So if you can all just do your name, your school, your year, and 1 hobby. We'll start with Christian.
Hey everyone, my name is Christian Luciano Santiago. I'm from Puerto Rico. I currently go to John Marshall Law School in Chicago. I'm a 2L or upcoming 2L, and 1 hobby of mine is I play volleyball.
Thank you, Christian. Next, we'll go to Gavin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gavin Motes. I attend Western Michigan University Cooley Law School, and my undergrad was at Loyola University of Chicago. 1 hobby I'm interested in doing is lifting weights and going to the gym. And also I'm a 2L, starting at my 2L year in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Gavin. Next, we'll go to Kunal.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kunal. I'm an upcoming 2L at ASU Law. And one of my hobbies is doing running and like half marathons and things like that.
Thanks, Kunal. Next, we'll go to Myra.
Hey everyone, Myra Salinas Medjavar. I'm a 3L at the William S. Boyd School of Law. That's in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I garden.
All right, thank you. So to clarify the rules, I'll start the timer whenever you begin answering. If you run over time, I will interrupt you, but I'll allow you to finish your thought. But for this first question, I would like for everyone to answer it, and that is, what previous leadership experience have you had within and outside of the ABA that you feel qualifies you for the position of delegate? And again, we'll start with Christian.
Okay, did we skip Andrew on that?
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, Andrew. Andrew, introduction.
No problem, Chase. Andrew Roden. I go to American University Washington College of Law here in Washington, D.C. One of my hobbies is I am a magic chef in the kitchen, and I'm a rising 3L.
Thank you, Andrew. So again, I will ask, what experience have you had within and outside of the ABA that you feel qualifies you for this position? Christian.
So previously to law school, I was in medical school, and I was my medical school, my class president, and I was class president for 2 or 3 years out of the 4. And then before, when I ended law school, I was elected 1L student representative for my 1L year. Also, I worked with Sandra Gillibrand of New York and Washington, D.C. in Congress for a year. Which helped me look policy making and policy decisions in a whole other way. And I feel that within these experiences and types of experiences that would make me the best candidate to serve as a division delegate for the House of Delegates.
Thank you, Christian. Next, we'll go to Gavin.
Yeah, so although I have no prior experience within leadership within the ABA, going back to when about 12 years ago, I was our team captain for football. So I kind of incorporate that into my everyday life. And when I was in undergrad, I worked my whole way through as a regional marketing director, overseeing around 20 employees at any given time and managing them, taking care of their payroll, doing team meetings, team trainings, and kind of being like the motivator and definitely getting them to get more leads and sales for our company. So I know how to rally the troops, so to speak, although I haven't applied it yet in the ABA, something that I'm more than willing to get my feet wet with. So I would be great for a division delegate to the House of Delegates in that aspect, because naturally speaking, I have the ability to lead.
Thank you, Gavin. Next, we'll go to Kunal.
Yeah, so before I even entered law school, I worked as an intermediary between corporate and it was a restaurant industry. It was in the restaurant industry, and I was basically in between franchisees and corporate. And I led a team there for about 3 years that started in high school and continued throughout undergrad. I jumped straight from undergrad to law school, and last year I was elected as the 1L student representative to the SBA. And this upcoming year, I've been elected as, I guess I'm the VP-elect of social events, or social chair in general. And so just based off my background, especially going back to my previous position, I think it really helped me develop my skills in kind of mediation and as well as representing what needs to be said to certain types. But yeah, I think this will be a good step forward. And I think that I do have the tools already in place where I will be extremely successful at the position.
Thank you, Kunal. Andrew? And you're muted, Andrew.
So I currently serve as the ABA delegate for the Law Student Division. The 2015-2016 school year has been a phenomenal run. I have seen great success from providing opportunities for law students around the country as far as providing free admission to conferences, lower costs. Also have served as the law student chair for the ABA Civil Rights Social Justice Law Student Committee, where I created the first ever law student committee where we have over 100 students across the country who are actively taking part in ABA activities. I also am very familiar with the ABA business structure from having interned with the ABA office here in Washington, D.C. For a few months. Prior to coming to law school, I served as a football coach at the collegiate and high school level. Did that for about 9 years. Maintained positions such as being a director of operations, recruiting coordinator, and a high school head coach. And my biggest thing is making a difference in the lives of all that I encounter so that students have opportunity and a brighter future.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we'll go to Myra.
You said me, right? You kind of cut off for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so I think, so the ABA is a massive organization. It's got a lot of moving parts, a lot of different people, a lot of different sections, divisions, forums, and it takes someone that's actively involved in the ABA to really be able to surf those waters, so to speak. And so during this past year, I served as the 14th Circuit governor, and in putting together my events for my circuit, I realized that we really need a lot of communication with the other sections, divisions, and forums to be able to put successful events together. So that really kind of opened my eyes to the need. And my goal as a division delegate would be to strengthen that communication and to build new communications with other members of the greater ABA, so that if we have Law Student Division event, that we can make it the biggest as possible, the biggest we can, and have more students attend, because we all know that attendance rates for the past few years have not been great, and having that communication is really important to successful events. So.
Thank you, Myra. Next, we will go back to Christian, and your question is, what do you think was the most valuable, what is the most serious issue, what do you believe is the most serious issue facing law students that you would like to tackle if you get elected to this position?
So I believe there are a couple issues that are really important for all law students right now in the United States. First of all, I think the most important one, which is already started by the ABA, is the uniform bar exam. So opening up the legal market to the uniform bar exam, opening up the legal market with the uniform bar exam will help all of us, honestly, just have the opportunity to move between states without having to retake every single bar. And it would allow us to have a uniform system and keep track of what is working or it's not working, and it would help us greatly as law students and as the ABA as a general. Secondly, I believe the biggest issue apart from the uniform bar exam is law student diversity. It's important to have a big, diverse law student population. I myself, I'm Hispanic. I moved here from Puerto Rico, and I feel like we need more representation of different diverse groups, especially in the law-related field and non-law-related fields, because not everyone works in law-related fields, and specifically inside of the ABA. To have a voting power in the House of Delegates would be a substantial opportunity and impact for me as a Hispanic diverse student that would promote more inclusion with the ABA.
Thank you, Christian. I'm going to ask the same question to Gavin. And just let me know if you need me to repeat it.
Yes, there's also a couple issues that law students today are facing. The legal climate has changed. I have several lawyers in my family, but so is policy, and law students in general are burdened with a high, enormous amount of debt. So maybe we could implement possible financial planning, something more scholarship implementation programs to help ease the burden of students attending law school, and then also more job resources to be implemented to help law students get a job once we pass the bar exam, because I know that's another big issue for law students is finding employment after we've taken on this huge burden of debt. I myself am 100%, I pay sticker for my tuition. So leaving law school, it's going to be around $500,000. So I want to make sure that we can come up with programs to maybe intermingle more just with regular ABA members, get us together with super lawyers in our area of interest that we want to practice law in. I kind of said that in my video, but those are the two most crucial aspects that I think that we need to key in on. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. The next question is for Kunal, and it is related, which is, what do you think was the most valuable or significant issue that the ABA Law Student Division dealt with this past year, and why?
I think this is pretty clear cut for me. I think the biggest thing that I saw was interpretation 305-2 being repealed. To me, there's still a lot of work to be done on that front. I understand that even though the interpretation's been repealed or is in the process of being repealed, law students will still face a lot in terms of trying to get an externship for credit and also dealing with pay from employers. And something on that front that I had been considering was trying to organize with the ABA representatives throughout the country, and trying to get a letter written, possibly to the deans of our law schools, just to inform them. I'm sure they already do know, but just to further kind of inform them and try to see if they'd be willing to go to bat for us almost, and maybe write letters to employers in their area. I know ASU is a rather large regional school. We haven't quite hit the national level. And so something I really wanted to do when I saw that you guys had done this already was get a group of students together and write to our Dean Sylvester and see if, some of the biggest employers in Phoenix would be interested in partnering with the law school and making sure that students can get credit and also get paid, because I think it goes back to the issue that Gavin was talking about. So yeah, I think easily that's one of the biggest issues you guys tackled last year.
Thank you, Kunal. And Andrew, I'm going to ask the same question to you.
I think some of the biggest issues we tackled this past year was being a backing stone was Chris Jennison, who's currently on the executive board, pushing for the UBE to be passed by the ABA. It was a very challenging task where a group of us basically took it on our shoulders to make sure, especially at Midyear that we attended, to make sure that the states were on board and reaching out to every possible section and division we could to make sure it could be passed, being that law students across the country said that, jobs are something that they were really worried about upon graduation. And as you know, the UBE provides mobility to law students to go to different jurisdictions. So that was definitely one of the biggest ones. The second one I'd say is providing opportunities for law students. We did this year kind of tweak the way we were doing some of the ABA conferences. So for example, here in the Washington, D.C. in the 10th Circuit, we had our circuit conference in the spring, and we had over 200 law students attend that conference, with many of them left that conference with job opportunities. And as previously stated, this was one of the first years, too, where law students were able to attend many of the conferences around the country for free, either through volunteering or some of the section division waiving those fees for students. Because the more exposure law students were able to get, it connected them to the practitioners, which are the ones who have the ability to hire us out of law school. So those were the biggest things I feel we accomplished as a board this past year.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm impressed no one's gone over time so far. You're all very concise. The next question is for Myra, and it's what kind of research did you do for this role, and what do you think makes you best suited for this role over any other in the ABA?
Thank you. So obviously I read the requirements for the position and what it takes. And, working with the board last year, I saw what the other delegates were dealing with, the time constraints, the time requirements. And I think being familiar with that, I would be knowing what it takes, especially as a time commitment, as a busy student. I think that makes me a good candidate. Also, I've been reading up on the resolutions, not just within the Law Student Division, but also the resolutions that are going up before the greater ABA this annual. And I think some of them will actually affect law students, in particular, a resolution being proposed by the section of legal ed. And that deals with 305 now that the interpretation has been stricken or is in the process of being stricken. Now the requirements for the standard for field placements is being changed a little bit. So I think that will affect us in the sense that we want to make sure that those requirements are set well enough so that, placements are still easy to get, and that placements there'll be employers that are willing to become placements to be able to get credit and pay.
I think we lost you there at the end, Myra.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what else you heard. I don't know what part you.
That's fine. We're up on time.
Okay.
You can have a second to finish your thought if you'd like.
Okay. Like I was saying, I don't know what was the last part you heard, but I also read the resolutions that are being put forth within the greater ABA, in particular the resolution being put forth by Legal Ed, which will affect law students because it deals with Standard 305, which is field placements.
Thank you, Myra. Christian, same question, which is what research did you do for this role, and what do you feel makes you best suited for this role over any other within the ABA?
As per research, I honestly just read the job description and the requirements for obviously the division delegate position. What makes me more suited than anyone else? I believe my previous history, my previous work history. I know the inner workings of working with attorneys and working with lobbyists, and as a division delegate, anything that the House of Delegates passes eventually goes further to Congress for lobbying, for pushing to help Congress push the same opportunities as a national level for other law students and for lawyers in the United States. So I believe that with my previous experience in the legal field and in the political field in Washington, D.C., that has helped me enough and give me the enough experience to motivate myself and others to participate more in the ABA, to help initiate new initiatives. And I feel that this will help me be the best candidate for the division delegate.
Thank you. Next, we have Gavin. And your question is, what bill currently being considered by the House of Delegates do you think is the most important for law students?
I did some research. I did do the job. I did look at the job description, but I was looking over the UBE, and I know that it got passed, or that's something that you guys are in the works on right now. As of 2016, there's 17 jurisdictions that are scheduled to use the UBE, and then I think New York will become the 18th. So getting every other state, like Illinois, for example, on board would be great. It gives potential future lawyers the ability to move around the country, not be confined to one jurisdiction, or not have to go through the hassle of having to transfer their license to, let's say, Florida or California or something else like that. And that's about as far as I got into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. And I believe Kareem has a point about the UB.
Yeah, I believe we're up to 28 states, not 18 states. I think that number sounds right.
Yeah. So the same question goes to Kunal.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, this one I think may have been adopted already, but I think it was important as well. It dealt with, I think it was Resolution 117 about bar admissions in the UBE again and consideration of minority applicants. Overall, I think it is important just for, like other people have mentioned already, for the UBE to be prevalent throughout all of the states in order to let us go through the states. But particularly this resolution dealt with Indian law. And again, this is something more regional to ASU because we do have a rather large Indian law program. And especially out West, there are a lot of students who intend on practicing Indian law, but they may not have the opportunity to do so in their respective home states because the law schools in their state just don't offer it. And so I think that's just something that we do need to focus on, and that I would do going forward.
Sorry.
Thank you.
One more clarification, because I just double checked. We're at 24 territories for the UBE based on the website. I just checked as well. The other thing is that the UBE has passed. It's now ABA policy. At this point, it's just in the state bar associations kind of hands to finish adopting it, just to give that clarification.
Thank you, Kareem. Next, we're going to go to Andrew, and we're going to move a little bit away from policy and a little bit more towards you as a representative. So this question is, if you are personally very against something, but the division takes a stand in favor of it, how would you vote?
Well, there's been a few times this year where, not everything was agreed upon, but at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for the division. So if the SBA presidents and the reps across the country state to us that they want to go with option A, even though in my mind I might want to go with option B, I'm supposed to be the voice of the people. Therefore, I have to eliminate my own personal views and opinions and step that to the side, because as a delegate, we have to serve all law schools across the country. There can't be any personal initiatives in, because if you try to put your own personal agenda of it, you really lose the focus and being a voice, as I said, because at the end of the day, there's 532 delegates in the ABA. So we have to make sure that we go and we meet and mingle with those different delegates across the country for all the all the states and territories, so that we have their relationship. So we definitely just have to put our own personal views to the side and go with the team option.
Thank you, Andrew. And Myra, I pose the same question to you.
That's a great question. And obviously, I'm not the voice for myself as a delegate. I'm the voice for the law students in the division. So I can't put my own beliefs ahead of that. And I think, obviously, if I have a serious problem with something, I will make it known to the board so that they can consider that in making their decision to go for something or not. But at the end of the day, like Andrew said, it's not my voice, it's the voice of the division.
Thank you, Myra. Next, we got a Christian, and your voice is, your question is, as you may know, the Law Student Division will be presenting a restructuring plan. The Law Student Division will be presenting a restructuring plan to the Assembly at Annual. What are your thoughts on board restructuring, and do you support switching over to the exclusively nationally elected positions?
Can you repeat the question? Because it broke up a little bit at the end. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, it's what are your thoughts on board restructuring, and do you support switching over to the exclusively national positions?
I support moving exclusively to the national positions, because I just feel we have a bigger voice in terms of representation. So as national representatives of all law students, it is our position, our job to represent them, and at a national level, it'll be at an equal unison voice. It'll be have more impact, and it'll promote more change in the ABA.
Thank you. And the same question goes to Gavin.
Can you repeat the question for me? I got a little choppy at the end.
Yes, it's what are your thoughts on board restructuring, and do you support switching over to exclusively nationally to the having exclusively national officers?
I do support going on a national level because of the fact that as we all know, we are the voice of many being on a national level. And I believe that it's our duty to gather the majority's consensus on a lot of these issues and present that directly to the House of Delegates. So I am in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Kunal next. And in that same vein, what are your opinions on regional representation? Do you think that it is something important for the ABA to try to find regional representatives? And if so, how do you think the ABA should go about doing that?
Thanks. Well, again, this ties in like with the last question, like you said. Regional representation, I think, is huge. I know that the restructuring has gotten rid of the governors for the circuits, and I'm assuming that was mainly due to cost reasons. But moving toward a national scale is good. It has its pros and cons. Of course, having the governors there did allow for regional concerns to be voiced. Since they're not there anymore, I think that what we're going to have to do going forward is have the ABA representatives for each school come forward and play a larger role, kind of maybe have meetings by themselves by region and present to a national board or present their concerns or interests to a national board. And so we don't lose that regional input, which I think is very important, because what we don't want to do is lose sight of kind of like the whole trees in the forest thing, you know? And so, again, yeah, I just think it's really important, but there definitely are ways for us to go forward and still have a regional voice heard while still maintaining the structure that's going to be proposed.
Thank you. And I pass the same question on to Andrew.
I'm kind of torn between this, but I really feel that regional representation is key. The reason it's key is because right now, regional representation, no matter where we are in the United States, I can reach out to somebody in that section of the country to get their opinion. What is going on with law students? What are the concerns? Because somebody's concerns in, let's say, California might be completely different from somebody that's in Idaho. So I just, I feel we definitely need that regional representation. Also, to key on the goals of the ABA is to maintain diversity. I feel with the regional representation, we have built a great, I guess you could say, pipeline of diverse leaders into the ABA. Therefore, regional representation is key for the success of the Law Student Division. And that was one of the reasons why the regional representation of leaders was created, because of creating diversity amongst the ABA.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question goes to Myra, and that is, what do you think is the most important aspect of ABA Day, and why do you believe that it's important for law students?
I'm sorry, I only heard half of that.
I'm sorry. It's, what do you think is the most important aspect of ABA Day, and why do you believe it's important for law students?
Well, exposure really to the ABA. Law students get information and on the perks and everything that is available to them through the ABA, and having that exposure creates awareness and interest in, well, what we need most right now is interest in the ABA to get members to become active and to participate.
Thank you. And I pose the same question to Christian.
ABA Day, I feel, is really important in terms of ABA participation. Like Myra said, specifically because law students get to know what the ABA offers as perks for law students. Like, for example, Quimby. Quimby has been the ultimate resource for me my whole 1L year. And a lot of students did not know of it, like a lot of students. So I feel like that, in terms of helping and learning and explaining to them what is the ABA, why are we here, why is it important to be a part of it, there has to be representation. We are your voice. We voice your concerns nationally, and that is the only way that you can have an impact in your own education and furthering other people and other students in law school.
Thank you, Christian. The next question goes to Gavin, and that is, what is an area of innovation beyond policy initiatives that you think that the ABA Law Student Division should adopt? So in the same vein as we recently started a podcast, we're trying to find different ways to reach out to students. What would be your innovative idea?
A great innovative idea, and I just would like to second what the gentleman was speaking about prior. A lot of people don't even know about that six-month Quimby access, and I relied on that and actually have my own membership now that I pay for. But a new innovation that could help us out is maybe doing webinars like this that are open on a massive scale level to ABA members in general, and just talking about things that pertain to law students, like career advice and job boards and internships and clerkships that are on the ABA website, and inform them of events that are coming up and let them know about all these different advantages and discounts they can get with Barbary and, money off and ways, as law students, we're always kind of struggling because we're paying such a high amount to go. It's nice to have these little perks. And I think that if we could talk more about career guidance on a whole to all the members, that would be a great idea to do like a huge webinar, or maybe even calling in like we do with this and having everybody on mute and just, I know you guys must do that at the annual meetings, but not everybody can attend to go. But with the internet as our companion, we can reach the masses and use that to our advantage to reach out to the other ABA members.
Thank you, Gavin. And the same question goes to Kunal.
Yeah, going along with what Gavin said, the internet is huge. I think particularly on social media, the LSD has a huge opportunity to connect with law students. I was on the ABA LSD page, the Twitter page, not too long ago, and there's something like 2,800 or 3,000 followers, and there's a lot of ABA related tweets, things like that, but nothing that really tells students what the ABA does for them or what perks comes with being part of the ABA. I know plenty of students in several schools around the country that either have heard of the ABA but don't know what it does, are not interested in the ABA or joining the ABA just because they don't know about the perks that can be gained from joining it. And, just using social media as a way to connect with these people, especially since it's a national sort of thing and we have law schools and law students everywhere. And so if we had maybe another page where law students could connect, ABA law students or ABA members who are law students could connect and share information about things that are going on in their area or perks that they can get through the ABA, I think that would be great for it.
Thanks, Kunal. So in the interest of fairness for Andrew and Myra, in order to answer as many questions as everyone else, I'm going to give you both a chance to answer any of the questions that were asked of other candidates. And after both of you answer, I will open it up to the floor for anyone who wants to answer a question that was not asked to them. If you would like to do that, simply go into the chat feature, participants feature. Do we have a raise hand?
I don't know that we do, but they can send me a private message and I'll keep track of that, Trace, if you'd like.
Send Kareem a private message if you would like to answer a question that was asked of someone else. So for Andrew first, is there a question that was asked of another candidate that you would like to take an opportunity to answer?
Yes, there is. Let me run down the list real quick. I just want to touch on the question that was asked in reference to innovative ideas for the ABA. One of the innovative ideas that I'd like to see the ABA do was what I started last year was pushing at a section of chairs meeting of really opening up the ABA to undergraduate students so that the pipeline for people coming to law school will give them access to the ABA at an earlier stage so that the relationships are built with the different directors, chairs, and attorneys so that we have a stronger ABA in the future. now that we have, they've opened it up, would like to create different academies across the country where, similar to the Law Student Committee that I created with a section of Civil Rights, Social Justice, and ABA, open up every section division in the ABA so that law students can take part in areas that they want to really work in once they're completed law school. I think if a student comes in as a 1L and they can, let's say they want to go into, let's say, white-collar crime, and they have opportunity to work with the White Collar Institute and the ABA all 3 years, that person more than likely is going to have a connection to going to ABA. And also, too, it opens up the area of more than just having liaisons in the ABA, but also now gives students an interaction that they wouldn't have had before. Another area of innovation would be challenging the section divisions to have different career fairs around the country so that we can have law students have those opportunities to find out about the different jobs and opportunities. And lastly, I would like to have the ABA create and return the job fair. Once upon a time, the ABA used to have a job fair annual, which was very successful for many years. If given the opportunity to be delegate again, I would actually push to have that brought back, and the creation of a job fair at Midyear, being that there are so many law students that attend Midyear, they're seeking an opportunity and something.
I'm sorry, Andrew. You're at time, but please finish your thought.
Yeah, so that's just, those are my innovative ideas and some of the goals I'd like to push for this upcoming year.
Thank you, Andrew. And I'll pose the same question to Myra of, is there a question that was asked of another candidate that you would like to answer now?
Yes, and it was actually the same question about innovative ideas. And I think it would be great if, I know we tried having an app before and we had issues with that, but I think it would be great if we had an app that would allow students to just search for events in their area, or if they're traveling in an area nearby, not just for ABA events, but also career fairs, either at schools or independent with other bar associations in that area, and to be able to get students more exposure to, well, with the passing of the UBE, students are probably going to be more open to traveling for work, and if they find employment in a different state, they may be more willing to do so. So I think with that happening, it would be really important for the ABA to think about some sort of application, or even on the website having an interactive map of some sort that would work on someone's phone, because we all know millennials use phones for everything. That's it.
Thank you, Myra. And Christian, you wanted to answer? Christian, you're muted.
Sorry. Also, on the initiatives or innovative ideas that the LSD should focus on this year, I agree with what everyone has said, and I think exactly the same thing. And I also think that we should expand our footprint maybe on Facebook, for example, which is the majority of us sit in a library, in a classroom, and we're studying and we're on Facebook, and this we can have regional Facebook groups under areas like for 7th Circuit, 1st Circuit, 2nd Circuit, where other students can post their ideas, other students can post their thoughts about ABA regulations or policies or impacts that it's having on them. On top of that, as Andrew said, I would bring back the job fair. The job fair is a big thing for law students, because obviously we're all trying to get a job after law school. And I feel that it would open up the ABA to a lot more students if we annually had a job fair that we would represent and we would market every year at the law school level.
Thank you, Christian. Andrew, you wanted to answer one?
Yes, I'd like to answer the question in reference to issues that law students are facing. Since being in this position, there have been a number of issues that law students are facing. Some of the pertinent ones that I'd like to discuss are our military vets. We have a ton of military vets across the country that are in law schools, but the law schools are benefiting from the programs such as the Yellow Ribbon, but yet they're not hiring vets to be on the campus to provide them, whether it's accommodations or assistance. And that's wrong, being that they have gone and they have fought in the war for our safety, that our liberty that we enjoy day to day. There needs to be more action taken for them, which is something that I've been working on. Another thing, too, is mental health. I mean, every day we see in the news that there's some issue with mental health as far as something happening. I feel that law schools need to take a better stance at this, especially being that in all professions, we're number one for alcoholism and drugs. There needs to be more emphasis provided so that we can kind of nip that in the bud from the beginning, and have a number of initiatives that I'd like to go through is that. And then another thing, too, is law students, it was brought to my attention, law students, when it comes to pregnancy, are not provided accommodations by law schools across country in many occasions. So one thing that I have done and have been drafting was another section is presenting a resolution at ABA Midyear next year in Florida, which will enforce law schools to mandate the Title IX mandate that we have across country, so that students, when they become pregnancy, aren't forced with a decision to either drop out of school or be left behind, because at the end of the day, we are all equal and we need to be treated equal, especially in 2016. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So we've discussed some really heavy topics, so I'd like to finish it out by just asking one sort of lighthearted one. There were no Pokemon Go fans last night, so I'm not going to make that mistake again. But we're going to stick it to, if you could be one superhero, which superhero would you be and why? We're just going to go down the line. I'm going to start with Christian.
Number one superhero of all time, Superman. Nobody can beat Superman. Superman is awesome. Superman is number one, unless Batman is like crazy, goes crazy like in the movie, and he can beat him, but I don't think so. So Superman.
Thank you, Christian. Gavin?
I would have to say Batman. I'm sorry. But yeah, they both fight crime, Superman and Batman, in some capacity. And I know that there's kind of a dark side of Batman, but it's the whole crime fighting aspect and seeking justice would be the reason why.
Thank you, Gavin. Next, Kunal.
Definitely the Flash. Easy choice for me. I want to be able to beat Usain Bolt. There's nothing more to it. I'm going to be the fastest person alive.
Thank you, Kunal. Next, we'll go to Andrew.
I'm going to be the oddball here. I'm going to say Captain America. The reason I'm picking Captain America is because at the end of the day, I stand for the rights and liberties of this country, and that's what Captain America is about. He's a guy that went through, he's a vet. He did everything we needed for his country. You know, that's somebody who I'd like to be, is push for our rights and push for a difference in our society.
Thank you, Andrew. Myra will close out with you.
And I'm going to have to go with Wonder Woman, of course, because she's got the lasso of truth. Come on, guys. I mean, you get everyone to tell you the truth. So you get down to the bottom line, and that's the whole point. So that's my superhero.
It's a very lawyerly answer. Well, I thank you all for attending tonight. I look forward to seeing you all at annual. Kareem, is there anything else you can think of before we close out?
No, I would just echo what you said. Thank you all for your thoughtful responses. It's obviously you all put a lot of time and thought into your candidacy, and I'm really excited to see not only what this election holds or gives us, because you all seem like fantastic candidates, but really to meet you all at annual, those of you who I haven't met yet, and really talk to you more about how we can do some really great things this coming year in the ABA. So thank you all. Love the superhero discussion. Wish there was more Pokemon Go fans to do that one, but you know, it's all right. Well, have a good night, everyone. Thank you again for participating. If there's nothing else, have a good night, and we'll see you all soon, all right? Take care.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.